Are you still watching? 4 little words, just 4 words to remind you how much fun you're actually having watching something on Netflix. 4 little words to prod you, accuse you even, to make sure you haven't passed out with one hand on a beer and the other scratching your balls. Because TV shows were never traditionally supposed to be watched how we watch them now. They were always episodic, always a weekly drip of content built on things like cliffhangers and long-seeded payoffs that rewarded audiences for committing to them long term. That's all changed now with the advent of streaming, and we're likely to turn a Netflix or Amazon TV release into a single serving event. We binge, we gobble it all up double quickly, and then we wait for more. And now binge-worthy has become its own indicator of quality, of how gripping a show is primarily, and we judge everything slightly differently. Behold, for I present to you the empirically calculated shows that gripped our attentions most last year. I'm Will for What Culture, and here are the 10 most binge-watched TV shows of 2019. 10. Money Heist. In 2018, fans initially fell in love with Spanish crime show Money Heist. The show became the most popular non-English show, despite the slightly jarring decision to redub the actors with English-speaking counterparts. That decision, which was clearly no impediment to its success aside, the show is one of Netflix's smartest pickups in recent years. It's different, not least because it turns conventional heist film genre tropes upside down, and also thanks to its strong Spanish identity, and crucially, it's incredibly well written. Which is presumably how it managed to get over the fact that Netflix basically didn't even market the first season. The fact that it also somehow survived the platform's dramatic recutting and redubbing is also testament to how great it is, and it's only fitting that Netflix users flocked to it in 2019 too, particularly because it's one of those rare shows that stands astride multiple traditional demographic splits. 9. How I Met Your Mother. The ending might have left something of a bad taste in everyone's mouths, but that's hardly the first time a big show has failed to stick the ending, and fans continue to flock to How I Met Your Mother as one of the best post-Friends sitcoms of the last decade or so. A lot of those sitcoms have found new life thanks to streaming, which is quickly replacing the traditional heavy rotation syndication model of old, and How I Met Your Mother's short episodes make it perfect for binging. While there are obviously longer form story arcs throughout, the episodes exist as short bursts of entertainment marrying humor with sometimes weightier emotional episodes. 8. Riverdale. Who would have thought that mashing up Archie comics with a post-OC, post-Dawson's Creek teen TV show would create something as beloved as the CW's Riverdale? Soon to be available as part of Warner Bros.' upcoming HBO Max platform, Riverdale has amassed an army of devoted fans armed with memes and the kind of rabid love that means longevity and dollar signs for teen show makers. The key to the show's success is its tone. It's deliciously self-aware and has an eerie edge that makes it a hell of a lot more daring and more edgy than you might have ever expected from an Archie Comics TV show. It does have its problems with the representation, but a raft of awards nominations and awards themselves under the CW's belt, and the fact that it's one of the most streamed shows of 2019, beating out the CW's entire locker room of superheroes in the process, says exactly what you need to know about how well received this show is. The fact that it seems to exist between cult and mainstream spaces is pretty key to all of that. 7. The Big Bang Theory. Having been very consciously positioned as one of the heirs to Friends' throne as the supreme sitcom overlord, The Big Bang Theory came to an end in 2019 after outliving its spiritual predecessor. The finale of the 12th and final season aired in May, with still hugely impressive viewing figures considering how long it stuck around. In fact, having debuted with an average 8 million viewers back in 2017, the fact that it managed to pull in more than 23 million for the final episode and more than 17 million for the last season on average is, quite frankly, astonishing. But that's the power of watching 6 geeks and 1 waitress grow as people and as a group over more than a decade of consistently charming, funny programming. Sure, it had its low points over the years, but its success was based on its ability to make us care about those characters, and the reaction to the finale, which offered us an answer of where they end up, confirms they managed that in some style. 6. Game of Thrones. Let's get this one out of the way quickly, shall we? Lots of people didn't like the final season of Game of Thrones too much. It might have solved the mystery of who would win the great game and offered a suitably brutal full stop to a show that knew exactly how to make you feel exhilarated, excited, and sick all at once, but it was also pretty bad. For many, that final season will be remembered as the one with the coffee cup, but it will also go down as the one true event TV shows ever. We watched it enthralled even when the ratings weren't great, and the final season was one of 2019's most watched shows, leading also to all of its previous seasons being streamed heavily too. 5. Stranger Things. Netflix might not have the best selection of films in the catalogue, and they might now face something of a content problem with the rise of other streaming platforms, but as long as they continue to make original programming as great as Stranger Things, we'll all continue to subscribe. In 2019, we saw the 3rd chapter of the supernatural Hawkins Indiana set fantasy show, which saw the central group of kids and their de facto father figure Jim Hopper once more defending the world from an invasion from the upside down. The stakes were higher, the drama felt more pronounced, and the cost was greater as we saw more deaths than the previous seasons. With some of the main characters leaving Hawkins entirely at the end of the season, this looked like a complete end, but a 4th season is on the way, and hopefully we're going to get an answer to the mystery of who the Russians have locked away in their prison cell next time out. 4. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Another big win for formerly cancelled shows here, as Brooklyn Nine-Nine came back from the dead after being cancelled by Fox in 2018 and smashed its way onto the top 10 streamed shows a year later. Picked up by NBC after huge fan clamour for a revival, the cop show comedy has actually gone from strength to strength after its return, following in Family Guy's footsteps by getting funnier, more irreverent, and more tuned into the human heart of stories since the shift. It's currently available to stream in a number of places, including on Netflix outside of the US. And we have 2 more seasons of fun coming our way thanks to the commissioning of seasons 7 and 8. The 7th will air in February 2020, and it promises to be just as greedily binged as the other seasons, by the look of things. Considering the despair at its initial cancellation, it's great to see the show continuing to do so well. Fox must be kicking themselves. 3. Grey's Anatomy. Considering the show's fondness for killing off major characters at regular intervals, it's a wonder there's anyone left on Grey's Anatomy, but as long as fans keep flocking to watch it, it'll keep getting made. On the verge of its record-breaking 16th season, the medical drama that debuted back in 2005 is sticking around for at least another 2 seasons. There may be only 4 main characters left from that season, but the flagship show has made easy work of introducing new characters into the fast-paced, sometimes doomed workplace of Gray Sloan Memorial Hospital in Seattle, and building new relationships and rapport. The show's success, which has seen it hit the top 3 of streamed shows according to TV Times metrics, comes down to the fondness fans have for the characters and how well the show's writers have weaved compelling drama into the fabric of the show. We might come for the episodic medical cases at the heart of each show, but we stay for the romances and the almost imperceptible threat of death and disaster loitering around every corner. 2. Friends. It's something to say about Friends' incredible success and legacy that one of the biggest TV stories of 2019 was the announcement of the show's departure from Netflix. It also says a lot that Warner Brothers chose it to be the first announced addition to the upcoming HBO Max streaming platform. Not Batman, not any current show, but Friends, a show that ended 15 years ago, a longer period than it even ran. But that's Friends for you. It landed in the hearts of millions of fans like no show before or since, and through heavy syndication, it somehow stayed relevant, even as waves of internet provocateurs sought to cancel its characters or reframe it as a problematic show. Sure, it had its issues, but we cared about the central 6 characters and their relationships so much that we forgave it all. That's what you do for family, after all. 1. Lucifer. Perhaps a strange winner, Lucifer's place at the top of this list confirms that fans and the talent behind it were right to rally behind it when it was cancelled in May 2018. Sure, it might have started with patchy critical reactions and struggled to find a huge audience, but the fans who did watch it tended to love it with a passion as hot as hellfire. The show is actually one of those inspiring little engine that could type stories, given the issues it faced with censorship before it even came to be. People weren't entirely happy with the idea of glamorizing being Satan, but that was put aside and we got a charming, occasionally irreverent show that became eminently quotable and very entertaining. And when Netflix picked it back up, they scored a real winner as the initial 10-episode run confirmed. It's now been renewed for a 4th season, and on the back of that too, there shouldn't be any concerns about the platform sanitizing or clipping Lucifer's claws, given the somewhat more lax censorship on Netflix, and that can only be a good thing. And there you have it, folks, the 10 most binge-watched TV shows of 2019. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for having out, and I'll see you next time.